Yo, Paradox here for JuanSource, and I'm going to be bringing you today the last competitive match I played for Pro-Am, and that sounds pretty depressing, but it's going to be a good one against Juan 3D, Team 3D on Inferno. So this was the second map of the Pro-Am finals that we played. We won the Dust 2 match by 1 round, so we're going into Inferno starting out T-side. So this is going to be max rounds 9, standard CGS rule set. So first round, we're gonna work into A hit here, and notice I'm going the long way through apartments, and this is specifically for Team 3D. Usually against any other team, I'll go through alt mid with my team, but being the bomb carrier and playing against 3D, who sometimes like to push alternate mid, Juan likes to do that early on in the round. Sometimes he'll push in the alt mid. I wanted to be safe about it, so, and cut off his exit as well. So here you see Mo got picked off at Banana. We're kind of spreading the map. Garrett's picking the apartment. Clown's still at Banana. Me and War Machine tried to make a move into spawn side and middle through double smoke. I mean, most of the time, you know, you don't want to be the guy running out of the double smoke, but sometimes, you know, if you throw a flash, or you can kind of surprise somebody running through that, because you're at a clear disadvantage. Most people know that, and they're not going to expect you to run through those double smokes. So once in a while, you know, for the sake of surprise, you know, that whole surprise element, you could throw that in there. But Noit ended up owning both of us, and we didn't really see anything, so it didn't work out really how he planned. We got picked off on all sides of the map, so that's pretty good hold on by 3D. Individually, everyone locked down their spots, so we couldn't really gain any momentum in that round. Couldn't get a pick early on, which is kind of what this team relied on, what we relied on, the Optx relied on anyway. Inferno's that early entry pick, so Mo got beat at Banana, and then we weren't successful making a move after that happened. So once again, this round I'm going to be going through the apartment, again playing safe. When Juan does that push to alternate mid, he'll usually like to exit to the apartment, and that's the main reason I'm going there too, is that if he does try that, he's going to have to exit my way, and he's going to be stuck there no matter what, because I have my teammates in alternate mid, and I'm in the end of apartment. So this round I had Garrett go up and clear the apartment for an opper. It's a pretty bad angle for me to fight at with an AK, so after he cleared that, I'm able to work up. And notice the double smokes coming off. 3D likes to do this a lot, and I'm a big fan of it too, where you double smoke the apartment, and immediately when they do that, we try to execute. Now, notice I couldn't really get out of the apartment too effectively. I waited maybe a second too late, you know, maybe 2 seconds too late, and by that time the double smoke was up already. Okay, so I'm full grade out, and I'm trying to exit the apartment. The doorway is a little tricky to get out of if you can't see where you're going, so I ended up getting killed, and our whole take as well kind of falls apart. 3D, also, the thing to note there is we executed an A strat pretty late in the round, especially for CGS rules. It was about 35 seconds execution. At that point, most teams are going to have 4 people playing A. What most teams do is that they play 3 people at Banana, and by the way, I'm referring to the sites opposite of radar. So Banana is B, and the main bomb site that we're taking is A. That's how I'm referring. So anyway, like I was saying, once a team establishes control at Banana, they'll usually rotate that secondary guy off, and that guy will help, you know, come help with A. So we're actually trying to fight 4 guys playing their spots and all that, trying to execute on the site with 4 people playing it. That's going to be a really hard thing to do. So this round we got a pick early on in Banana. We kind of spread the map and hope for that, and we got what we hoped for. And kind of kept spreading the map, selling a little bit of a fake, and now we're going to explode on Banana. You know, we come back, and all 4 guys, you know, we got the entry, we're playing 4-on-4, we want to use that man advantage and take over the site. And you see even though 3D still had a guy in Banana, you know, Volcano was in the back of the site, I was able to pick him off. Clown was able to get method rotating, and you know, we had a man advantage regardless. So that worked out well for us. You know, we got that B pick, and we were able to make something out of it, which is really important. Now, you see me chase this spawn guy down. A really interesting thing here is that it kind of depends on the player. That move that I made, me pushing spawn and trying to kill K-Sharp, I knew he was going to run away. And this is simply me knowing my opponent. I know that all of these guys understand the game, and from K-Sharp's perspective, if he was to stay around there and try to kill me chasing him, he knows that he's probably going to have to fight more, you know, 2 or 3 guys that are trying to chase him. So even if he gets me, he's going to end up dying to one of my teammates who's going to be right behind me. So he tried to run away and, you know, back turn everything. So I knew he was going to do that, and I went after him. Okay, and that's a matter of knowing your opponent. If you know your opponent really understands the game well, you can expect them to react in a certain way, and that's what I did there. So this round, you saw Garrett get that pick at apartment early on a guy peeking. That's a pretty hard angle for the CT to fight at. A good thing to do is for that Opper to come up and pick it. Unfortunately, our take kind of falls apart. You saw me in apartment just tossing a lot of nades, you know, pretty much everything that was there, and trying to help my team get in the site. The big thing about apartments, and that's my main spot for T-side here, is that you either want to get out and surprise the other team and try to get in the pit, or you're supporting your team getting into the site by, you know, tossing flashes and whatnot, trying to disable the pit and make that pit guy worry about you. Okay, if you come across a team that can't isolate either apartment or middle, one of the two at one point in time, they're gonna have a lot of trouble holding either side, because if they're not able to all focus on, say, you know, that porch side we're all coming up, then they're gonna have a lot of trouble holding the site. So this round, you see, you know, that's exactly what I tried to do. I tried to surprise the guy this time, K-Sharp, and he was looking at the porch side, but we didn't have enough presence there. He's able to turn around and you know, catch me coming out of apartment, and also my teammate coming out. So, you know, that round didn't go exactly according to plan, but it worked out okay. Where you know, we knew that 3D was going to play a little bit aggressive on the spawn side of middle, on the porch side, so we were able to catch that guy alone in the pit. We didn't really expect him to be that far back in the pit, but we were able to catch him there. But he was able to time his peaks and take us all out. So it didn't really work out great for us there. In my mind, we made the right move. It just didn't work out. So this round, knowing that 3D plays a little bit aggressive on mid, Garrett's going to go for the pick on the spawn side, and in the meantime I'm covering his porch side in case that guy tries to peek or rush out or something like that. Most teams like to do that, you know. I know Complexity liked to do that back in the day, and 3D too. So we end up working this into fake here, and it's gonna be a pretty good fake. You notice me toss all my nades, but I go out and take a little damage, you know, let that guy under truck spot me, and that's okay, you know. I didn't die, and although I'm down health, it's okay. It worked out perfect for us, because that really solidified that fake, you know, really made a better presence. And 3D, you know, may have maybe not shifted, but mentally in their minds, the guys playing banana are thinking, oh, you know, they might be executing B, so they're kind of unsure about whether they should rotate it or not, you know, at the very least. Maybe they did get out of position. I didn't really see what happened, but nonetheless, we were able to take the banana side. Our guys were able to make entry, maybe catch those guys out of position. So so that fake at mid ended up working pretty well, and our 3 were able to beat their 2 at banana. So that's a good round for us, especially max rounds 9. Every round is going to be really important. Alright, so this round, once again, we're starting off with a lot of defaults, you know, I'm either working the apartment with Garrett peeking it, or I'm going up in the window room, and we're having 2 of our guys work B, and that's Mo and Clown, trying to look for that pick. So this round, you notice I don't have the bomb. I'm just gonna rush up alt mid, try to get in the window fast. Alright, and what I was talking about earlier is going through that apartment the safe way. You give up a lot of speed by doing that, and if a team plays aggressive at the apartment, if you go the safe way, you're going to let them get set up, and that's going to be a disadvantage. 3D doesn't really like to do that, so there's really no real advantage to going really quick up middle. So this round, we get up mid uncontested. 3D's playing really passive, and what I call for just explode here, because we have position, and we're able to take the site. I get in the site right away, and there's nobody there. Notice there's one guy spawn side, and there's still a guy in pit, and we have 3 guys fighting. Ideally one guy. Juan was kind of late on the rotation, so we only had one guy in A in the pit. But you notice what a big nuisance that guy was. We weren't able to plant the bomb, and we weren't able to kill that guy either. He allowed for his teammates to rotate. He pretty much played that perfect. I think that was K-Sharp that played that pit. And that's a really key point on this map. If you can control that pit, either on T side or on CT, initially, if you're playing CT and you're the last one alive in that site, like K-Sharp was, you want to hold that pit, you want to stay alive, allow your teammates to rotate, because the other team is not really going to be able to control the site or plant the bomb. You have no site control if you don't have control of that pit, so you either force the other team to fight you, or you allow your teammates to rotate. It's one of the two. So, K-Sharp played that really well, and although we have the advantage, we weren't able to plant the bomb and make anything of it. So, anyway, this round's going to be an eco, and I end up getting in the site, but only have a Glock, so this round doesn't do a lot for us. The thing I want to mention, though, about this round is that we waited early on. Notice how we didn't rush banana right away. We did a little work at mid and then waited at the bottom ramp. What I was talking about earlier is teams usually like to rotate that guy out of banana once they have the opper set up, and they have control of that banana. That's what we were looking for there. We were looking for that second guy to rotate off banana so we could maybe catch that opper, and we did catch him off guard. We forced him to, he navigated pretty well while he was blind. He was able to get in the back site and call for a rotation, but we're able to catch him off guard, and that was our goal. The round didn't work out for us how we planned it, but nonetheless, it worked for us. So this round, I noticed that Volcano had a lot of trouble doing that, so falling back into the site, and we almost caught him. So we did the same thing on a gun round, and it worked out really well for us this round, because he fell back to the sandbags. He didn't really have time to fall back all the way in the site the way he was positioned, so we exploded on him. We were able to get him out of position and catch him with a banana rush. Initially on this round we were gonna fake and go into the A site, but instead we call that back. And the initial strat, although it was to go A, us getting that entry pick at banana and then getting in the site and having that spawn smoked off, we called everybody back. It's a safer move. We have control of the site. So we altered our strat, and that's an important thing too. You don't want to kind of live or die by the strat that's called early in the round, if that applies. So anyway, that ended up being a pretty good half for us on T side of Inferno. 3 rounds out of 9 is fine and dandy for T side Inferno. So this round, this half rather, you're going to see a lot of what we're doing right now, and that's playing 2 rifles B, double smoking early on, nading the back. This especially works well against 3D. He likes to kind of post up and opper deep, and I know playing on a team with Nick Noit before that, he used to get hit a lot by those nades through that fence, so I tried to throw that in there quite a bit. So at the very least, with such little round time, with 120 round time, we're gonna pretty much force the other team. We're gonna force 3D to execute a site. They're not really gonna get a lot of chance to fake. Okay, with those double smokes, it's gonna be hard for them to execute early, and then we're gonna be able to pinpoint where they're gonna be at. So this round, they're gonna end up executing really late, and they're gonna execute here on B. And you notice me get dinked through a wall, and while I'm blind, I navigate to the back hall. Now, the reason I did this, see, I'm gonna go back to Spindle and end up killing 2. The reason I did that, the reason instead of staying on that spawn side and trying to maybe fight. First off, I was really blind, okay, and it would take maybe another 3 seconds for me to recover and be able to fight those guys. After that, those guys are looking for me to peek. They know I'm there, they spotted me, and they're going to be looking for me there. So instead, I decided to fall back into the back hall. Not only that, with the low round time, they only had about 15 seconds. I wanted to wrap all the way around because I knew they had to come in the site. You know, they could wrap around, but at this point, I know my teammates are already rotating because we know 3D's not going to fake that late in the round. It's not going to happen. So our guys were rotating pretty quick. So those guys were going to cover up that spawn regardless. So I just wrapped into the site and held, you know, 2 rifles in the site with War Machine, and we were able to lock it down. So this round, you see me playing around a lot with this super secret spot, and there's a ledge that you could get on at this yellow cart that allows you to spot over it with a little crouch peek, and then you could actually peek over and shoot. So you'll see that later on when I'm able to do that, but you know, it took me a little while this time. 3D ends up going A, so it didn't really matter, but you know, so you guys will see that pretty uneventful round. So at this point, you know, we've locked down B, we've locked down A. This is a pretty good momentum swing for us, because at this point 3D's confidence can't be up there. You know, they failed at A, they failed at B. Now they kind of have to get tricky. They have to start adapting to us, and that's what I talk about, running the tempo of the game. If you're able to get the tempo of the game, your opponents have to react to you. Okay, and you can manipulate that a lot better than if you have to react to your opponents. You know, if they're beating you and you have to react to them, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So you saw me get on that spot. That's kind of what I'm talking about. It's not a lot of people know about that, but now you do because you have a membership to JuanSource. So there you go. You gained a little something out of that. Anyway, so this round 3D goes for A again. They end up taking the site, and here me and War Machine kind of right here. You see this little downtime, and that was about what, 2 seconds. That's when we were communicating our plan, what we're gonna do, what I'm gonna do. I say, all right, I have a flash left. I'm gonna toss it pit. We're gonna go site. All right, both of us. And at that point, the main thing is that if you're the second guy, if you have a teammate that's telling you, all right, here's what we're gonna do, even if you don't think it's the right thing to do, you know, say War Machine didn't think that's the right thing to do, he didn't anyway, and that's the right thing to do for him, instead of arguing or saying, you know, no, do this, because that's going to waste more time. Notice how that whole plan took maybe 1.5 to 2 seconds to put together. That's all the time you're going to have. You can't linger around and wait and you know have a nice little tea party and discuss what you're going to do to retake that site. You know, you have to do it right away. So this round, I was talking about 3D having to get fancy. They tried to run a guy through the double smoke, which was Volcano, and he just tried to run in and frag out and maybe try to catch one of us off guard, which almost worked, but it didn't. So, you know, sorry for them. So 3D kind of works behind that. I really like the strat that they did. And there's me whipping on method anyway. So I get that guy, and notice how I fall back into the back hall. That's a big control point for the B site. I thought about going back out there. I noticed Garrett rotated already. He had my spawn side covered up, so there's really no reason for me to be there. Instead, I'm going to take control of that back hall and make it a lot more difficult for 3D to hold the site. All they're going to have at that point is going to be, you know, the back site banana to cover from. If they don't have control of that back hall, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So even though, you know, they're able to kill War Machine in the site, I was able to hold that back hall, you know, get the rotation down, and we were able to take over that site. So here I make a pretty noob mistake of forgetting to buy a nade, but it happens to the best of us. So anyway, we're gonna stick with our little plan, double smoking that entrance. And notice I haven't picked up an op once. Okay, and you know, maybe if you watched some of my other demos, or even Pandemic when I used to play Banana, even a lot of other teams like to op Banana. You know, 3D was opping Banana too, a lot. But I've come to realize that 2 rifles work a lot better. I'll get into that in a second here. You saw Noit try to come through his own smoke and whatnot, and I was playing with my silencer again. So this was a pretty messy round for me as an individual. I mean, I forgot to buy a nade, and then I was putting my silencer on as I saw somebody creeping up on me, but you know, all worked well, so I'll take it. Anyway, so like I was talking about, 2 rifles at banana. If you have 2 guys that really understand the game, know when to peek. That's the biggest thing. Know when to counter, when to use their nades, and when to peek. Especially with 120 round time, teams aren't really going to have a lot of time to dry your nades and all that. So you really want to get good at feeling out when you want to counter and when you want to fight in this lane that I'm looking at right now. Okay, you want to, for the most part, you want to keep your opponents, you want to keep the other team in this lane, and you want to fight them in this lane that, you know, me and War Machine are working right now. It's going to be hard. You don't want to peek down and get picked, but once they're coming in, they're all funneled in one little lane, you know, so that's gonna be the easiest point for you guys to fight at, okay, as CTs. So having 2 rifles, it gives you a lot of versatility to do that. Okay, instead of having an op where if you get blind, you know, a lot of teams use a lot of flash work and all that, you're gonna be disabled. So, you know, the 2 rifles at B, if you know how to make it work, it's gonna be, in my opinion, it's going to be better than running an op and a rifle at banana. So this round goes to us once again. You know, nothing to be said about that really. The main thing you saw at the end there is me creeping behind those haystacks. Once, you kind of want to put yourself in the mind of your opponent, and you figure once they clear a spot, you know, like say Method looked into the side and he didn't see anything, they're going to look away and try to clear another spot. That's what everybody does. You know, unless they know you're there, they're not going to linger around and wait for you to peek from a certain spot. So I waited, I knew Method was apartment, I knew he was going to peek the side and all that, and instead of giving up that peeker advantage, you know, I kind of surprised him instead. So this round, you saw 3D try to get fancy, walk through the double smoke, but you can't do that against Paradox, because Paradox is going to peek into the double smoke and kill you. So anyway, a lot of fundamental CS going on. Notice how we kept 3D in that lane, okay? And you know, we used counter flashes. I was able to get the entry off the double smokes, okay? So those nades worked for us. And then, you know, we did the counter flash. The guy tried to run in. We killed them. We kind of split up their rush at the same time too. You notice how they didn't all come, you know, all 5 at a time. They're, you know, 1 guy, 2 guys, and then 3rd guy, 4th guy, instead of all 5 at the same time. So that's another big thing that you want to do. Learn to use your nades to split up rushes that way. And double smokes are a great way to do that. Having a counter flash and picking off that first guy, then, you know, waiting a little bit and waiting for that second wave. Because usually that's what's going to come. Most rushes are going to go in waves, especially when there's a lot of nades going on, you know, a lot of counter flashes and whatnot. So anyway, Juan unfortunately lagged out for this round, and they had to kill him. So once again, you see we're pretty much doing the same thing every round at banana, which is countering, doing, you know, me peeking from that spawn side. And here, you know, I got 1 guy, but I'm able to get that call off and get my teammates, you know, in position to get frags. So, I mean, the lesson to be learned here, the number 1 lesson I'd say is try that B setup. Try playing those 2 rifles. Now, the main thing, and I talk about this a lot too, I'm a big fan of knowing when your opponents are coming, and you kind of give that up when you play a little passive at banana, especially because teams can walk up to that car and explode and whatnot. You know, they could explode with a lot of nade work and kind of catch you off guard. So you have to know how to react to that, and 3D kind of did that to us. And you saw how I was able to fall back into the back hall. War Machine stayed alive in the site. We got that call off right away, got our rotation, got our spawn side cover up, you know, with our rotation, and then I was able to control the backhaul regardless, or even help War Machine in the site. So, you know, that's going to be key. If you're playing that double rifle setup, the guy's spawn side really has to be dynamic. He has to know what he's doing and when he's doing it. Okay, if you're dealing with an explode strat where teams are going to come really quick at one point in time, you know, like tons of flashes coming at you, you're going to have to, number one, navigate when you're blind. Okay, you're going to have to get used to doing that and get in that back haul. Okay, you don't want to get picked off without allowing your teammates from A to come over and help you with that spawn side. If you can, at the very least, control that construction, that back area, you know, if you have to settle for that, that's fine. That's good enough. So that's a, you know, talking about control points. That's a really big thing. And then also at A, you know, you guys saw that from RT side. You know, I was talking about 3D doing that, and they did that really well. You know, holding that one guy in pit, staying alive. And you know, kind of picking his fights and whatnot, allowing his teammates to rotate. That was key for them, and that did save 3D a couple of rounds. So you know, control points are a big thing. That setup at B, even that spot at B, spotting over the generator. You guys didn't really get to see how that works, but that's a pretty cool thing too that I came up with. So the secret's out on that one, but it's all good. So hope you guys got a decent bit out of this, you know, epic battle between 3D and Optx to kind of end the whole CGS story. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I'll be bringing you guys more, so look forward to it.